Yo, funny, man. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a woman who alchemizes them things which have been laid under the carpet. She brings change, ease, joy, flow. She's mastered patience for better ways of living. Her game plan aura has put her in the map globally, respected by all ages, and her infectious attitude, grace, and yielding determination has launched her empowerment movement, voiced to revolutionize the entire generation of Australia. Please help me welcome the mother of two. You're about to know who. Amanda Giebel.
Yay! The best intro ever.
You like that, Amanda?
Love it.
So Amanda, like what's that one thing that highly successful people do every day that helps them achieve goals? Greatness.
Yeah, process. Like we each thrive on a different process. And your process is going to look a little bit different to mine. But if we can find something that actually feels good and we stick with it, like it's the consistency over time that's going to get the results. We can't chop and change and keep adding things and thinking, oh, that's not working after 2 days. You know, it's about the consistency. And when we can do that, then we start making the progress. It starts snowballing, that effect, you know, it keeps going.
Wow.
So
Consistent.
growth, process and consistency.
Some people, like when you said about the 2 days, it made me think about microwave meals versus oven meals. I mean, in this day and age, you know the meal's gonna take 30, 40 minutes. You're not gonna pull it out in the oven because you might get food poisons. Like it's gonna take 40 minutes. Leave it to do its job, do your job, and yeah, you're gonna have a good meal in the end, one that's not gonna kill you and actually help you grow. So yeah, that makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense to me.
And I think it's about being growth focused as well. Like when we want to do better, we're always going to find those processes. When we're happy just staying in our everyday life and we don't want or are not excelling to the next level, we find that processes, it won't be a thing. But when we actually are growth focused and we're wanting to do better out of our lives, we're wanting to know the next thing, that is important because it is just naturally that we were going to find processes that work for us to keep us moving forward.
Wow. That makes sense. Wow. You said a quote one time, which for me was very interesting. You said our brain is meant to be in service to our hearts. Do you remember saying anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was good. That was good. Yeah, obviously there's usually breakdowns before breakthroughs. I understand you married at like 21 with one watermelon who was about one at that time. We've been in parallel situations where like everything you know now maybe is, been okay. Now there's no relationship, there's no job, there's no house. Some people don't recover well from this situation, just like clouds them and the rain falls for eternity. But out of nowhere, you get out this umbrella, you start deflecting rain and you declare you're going to ignite passion, which gives you like a sense of direction. Like, what does that umbrella look like?
Yeah, well, again, I think it's having the growth focus, right? Because when we're growth focused, we'll always look for the opportunity. We'll
Wow.
always look for things that we're going to go, okay, this situation may not be the best in the moment, but how can we grow from this? How can we learn from this and move forward? When we, like, say we're in what you just described, then we're always the victim. We're always trying to find something else outside of us that's to blame. We're not going to bring it back to ourselves. And when you said before about like coming out of the mind into the heart, it's exactly that process. So when we're really mindy, we can't access our heart, and our heart, our soul knows all the answers.
Wow.
So we really need to tap into the heart to find that direction, to find like what are the next steps, where are we going with this? And when we're mindy, too much is going on. We can't actually process the in the moment stuff because we're too future focused, or we're too focused on what went wrong, or how can we be victim to the situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Really focused in the moment. In the moment, we can be in our heart. Outside of that, forwards or backwards, we're in the mind. We're over processing everything, we're overthinking everything.
Yeah, that is interesting. That is so interesting, Amanda. Like, it's obviously like mistakes are gonna be made. Like, if you're doing something that you can fail at, but like, how you now react, like you know, this is you. Like, chance has been taken out of the equation, and now we're just talking about character. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, your character is so clear. There's nothing more to gain by saying, "Listen, I live by code," and the code is to say, "I'm gonna finish what I started." So you get into
Yeah.
personal training, crazy. I'm hearing also you've got a kid at this time. You was operating even in your garage at one point. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, bit of a backstory. I've been doing personal training for 15 years, and there was so I had my two boys and pretty much ran out of my garage towards the end with the two boys on my own. And so then COVID happened, and I sort of went more online rather than doing the physical personal training because of what the situation brought. And before, it was interesting, before COVID actually happened, I was getting this nudge like, there's more for you to do. There's like, this is not enough. You've got to do more. You've got to have a bigger impact. And so this really came through. And then I started doing, I worked for someone else online and in the fitness industry. And that just grew the confidence. And, you know, it was something different. And I really thrive on it because you can reach and access so many more people and share your knowledge and your wisdom all over the world, like exactly how we're connecting today. Like, we didn't know each other and we've just seen each other on the internet. Like, it's super powerful to everyone's got something to share. And so this is like the perfect opportunity that we get to share what we've experienced with others to help them on the journey. So that's so now I'm just back in the personal training industry, still doing my online stuff as well, but it's interesting how it's kind of changed and like molded together
Okay.
to have that bigger impact to reach more people all over the world. But it also is nice to see people physically, because that was the thing through COVID, right? Is that we weren't seeing a whole lot of people, and you know, it became a bit isolating. And so when we can actually see people in the physical, that's nice energy as well. You know, when we can actually feel and touch and do all the things with people, and also we can still reach a worldwide audience. So yeah, just perfect situation that kind of brought everything together.
I hear what you're saying about there's something also special about being in person as well. And when you've been out for such a long time, I think also being humans, like we're a species which is fried of each other. So like I'm a hugger as well. So like when that pandemic came, you know, I'm thinking, boy, I ain't hugged no one. And like they're asking me how old I am. I said, listen, I am 26 years old because pandemic robbed me of 2 years of my goddamn life. I'm taking it back. So yeah, that's that is
Yeah,
powerful.
I
I
love
love the
it.
motility of thought, Amanda. Like to be in that like moment, like from that transition, you have to be willing to like sit in this almost sort of like embarrassment, but finish the routine and like earn your respect and earn your love. So obviously when I look at you, it's not even like I respect you like as a woman. I respect you just as a person who's just kicking butt and had to kick butt in life, you know?
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So now you start now you start to deal with people, right? Now, obviously, your personal training, your one-to-ones. Um,
Yeah,
okay, so when I look at human evolution, relationships and work seem to be where, you know, evolution, we've gone from like not only like surviving, but thriving. Like humans need to be on a mission. That's why I was surprised when like it comes to work. Like a lot of people in my generation, more women as such, you know, bearing them things in mind, tended to go down the route of having a baby, necessarily not even valuing the relationship or the man, because obviously with a baby you're going to get a lot of work, you know what I mean, and you're going to get that relationship, like, you know, they're not gonna not love you, they're not gonna cheat on you, like you're gonna get everything in that package. But where I was seeing with like men, we tend, well, some of us, I'm gonna speak for all of them, you know, we like a mission, we gravitate towards a sort of a conquest. In this day and age, some people are, you know, just trying to find a different planet. As someone who deals with game plans and like personal training and having access to like the UFC gym, having two boys, do you see like a difference on how human species operate and how we think, like male versus?
definitely, definitely things are changing, but also I feel, you know, it used to be okay for the mum to stay at home with the kids and be okay with that. Then we found this like okay, this is not fulfilling. And it's actually having a negative impact on the whole family. Because if the mum's unfulfilled, it's going to come through in the relationship with the partner, it's going to come through in the relationship with the children. And to be honest, I found this in my with my big boy. I did 2 years at home, like, being mum. And it honestly was not enough for me. I was so bored. Like, after 2 years, I'm like, this is not good for myself and not good for my child. I couldn't even sit for 5 minutes without going, okay, I need to go and do something else, because I was that wired. Like, I love having a purpose. I love doing things. I love working. And then to sit at home and do the same thing over and over again, it gets very tiring and very boring. And all it is when we get into that state, it's very easy to offload onto someone else. So that causes that friction in the relationship. It causes like the angry household. It causes the frustration, and we're not a calm household when those things happen. So when we get the opportunity, like some mums really love the mum journey and are happy to stay at home, and that's great. Like, everyone has their thing, but bringing it back to the point of being growth focused, I felt like that was just, it was not where I was heading. I needed something more to like expand my brain to keep evolving and doing all the things and having an impact. Even though being a mum is a great impact, I just got bored. It was a personal choice for me. So yeah, it depends which way you are wired, and then you're going to know when you're a mum, you're going to know, if it's good for you or not, because you start feeling that negative, like anxiousness, all the things that go with, okay, I'm not in a happy place. And then again, that can snowball and you go down into this spiral of anxiety, negativity, depression, which, takes a bit of courage to come out of that as well. But also patience on the flip side, for a male figure or for a partner, to have that patience to be able to hold, a new family, a mum that's depressed and anxious. And then it just, like, if they don't have the patience or the compassion or the space to hold that female, that's what it's like, explosion after explosion, and it becomes toxic. It becomes so negative. The environment is just not nice to be in. No one wants to be in it. And having my children, it got to that point. Like, that's my thing. I've been through relationships that have turned toxic like that because of all these reasons. And it's really hard to sort of come back together when it's getting to that toxic stage. It's better that you aren't together and have two happy-ish households, rather than to have all of this playing out and the kids are just in the middle of it all. It's not nice. So I always encourage, like, if there's something not, if you're not 100% like, yes, we're going to fix this and we're going to work on it together, you may as well not be together in a relationship. You know what I mean? Because if you're half in, half out, it's never going to work. You both have to be in and actually trying, not just say, oh yeah, let's try. Like, you got to go all in and make it happen. Otherwise, you may as well not be together.
That makes sense to me. I love the way you put it, because, like, this the old regime was like, okay, 50-50, then we're both putting 100 on the table. But realistically, if you're putting 50% on the table, you're leaving 50% up to chance. I mean, this thing called life, Murphy's Law, you're leaving 50% to chance. So you're just hearing what you're saying. Obviously, anyone out there, if you're going to step into these things, you can't be, whatever relationship, whatever situations, you got to come in on 110% minimal. If you're trying to make it work, if you're trying to see success, or if you're trying to, like, bridge that gap, and you're hearing what Amanda is saying, like, there's no more 50% and you do 50%. Yeah, that's powerful. I love how you talk about compassion and patience as well. It's like, okay, people usually change because of two things. From what I've seen, it's like out of pain and or because of love. But until you're mad at what you are, you won't smash that glass ceiling of struggle. Like you literally have to become, mad at the version of your evolving yet unevolved self to then smash through.
Yeah. Usually people have a situation to kind of break down what's the old patterning, the old programming. So we have to hit like rock bottom to be able to come back up. And usually it's relationships, it's work situation, it's financial issues. Something big happens in life for us to really want to change. Otherwise, we're happy just going along like pop, 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 just going along. Nothing, there's not too many highs, there's not too many lows. When we can get to the point where we're like rock bottom, there's only one choice, right? We have to make something work. Like we have to do it. So, it brings the strength, it brings the courage to want to keep going and keep evolving ourselves. But also, this conversation wouldn't happen if I didn't go through things like this, or you hadn't gone through things like that. We learn by going through the things.
Wow. That makes sense. My perspective of that is like a warrior's experience. Like it's not because you're tall or strong or fast, like it literally comes down to heart and like what you were saying, experience. That is a true warrior, like full through and through. So yeah, that is amazing stuff, Amanda. We've got the power of choice in this situation. You're talking about the power of choice, and sometimes we've got to be glad that the only way was up.
Yeah.
Am I understanding that correctly? Like,
for sure. And this is when we can change our mindset from like the victim of, oh, why me? Why did this happen to me? What did I do wrong? Why I'm not good enough? All of that, when we are actually sick of telling the same story and accepting that as truth for ourselves, then we are going to hit the point where we want to change. And it's a sudden change because we're sick of it. We're not going to keep going and keep going and keep going. We hit these same patterns of behavior and the roadblocks. And at one point we're had enough. And that's when we can implement change. That's when the right teachers come in our perspective. That's when we see the right information and we read a book that's going to give us that next step. All this becomes available when we've had enough of repeating the same stuff. It's like, boom, right. Everything starts showing up. Yeah. Our awareness of these things as well is really important. When we get to the bottom, when we're really ready to change, it's the awareness that, okay, there's this thing lined up and this thing and go, great. That's going to help us move forward. Not like, oh yeah, I want to change, but I'm still playing that victim card. Because that's going to perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate. It's going to keep you going around in circles. Like that change has to be so in your mind that it's going to happen. The universe, God, source, universe, whoever you want to call in, is going to show you those little things with awareness. Being tapped into ourselves, being in our heart center, these synchronicities, these little signs that we get when we're on the right track, they will come through. Yeah.
So, okay, let me put a few things together. We've got that growth mindset you're talking about, and now you've got a purpose and mission. I just want to tap that in for the audience because, success at high levels demands that price. And, what's the price? Whatever it takes. What will it take? Pay the price. And this is what Amanda's clearly showcasing and highlighting. And yeah, the way silver lining in the clouds is blowing my mind right now. This is literally breadcrumbs to passion. If you don't know, do your homework, all right? This is literally breadcrumbs to passion. You're talking about taking on new challenges and how you want that next level. You have to be okay with being comfortable. And I've seen this at the end of that comfort zone, like where life really begins. How do you deal with being okay with not being okay?
Change.
The prize is the end, not the beginning of the journey. And that's a lot of people get upset and in their feelings. Those people who have managed to be okay with not being okay, if that makes sense, have managed to persevere. So if you could Yeah.
Yeah. So the aspect of change comes from when we're broken down. Like the breaking down of whatever was going on, we have to hit that point to be able to want to change. Otherwise, it's just going, we're just cruising along in life, which is also fine. Like there's no right or wrong, really. There's no right or wrong. But if you growth focus and you're wanting to evolve, if you're wanting to, be that better person, be that better version of yourself, change is necessary. Change is the number one thing that keeps life moving forward. And so if we're flying on the seat of our pants, sometimes it brings excitement. Change brings all these new things, new opportunities. We sometimes with change, we can't even see the direction forward, but if we're willing to fly, so many things open up that it can be so much better than what we actually thought was going to be in the first place. If we're not willing to fly, we can't expand, we can't see, like we can't grow. We're gonna just like flutter our wings and go like we're not gonna get far, right? If we're ready to fly, we're gonna fly.
No, I love that. So add wings to your wishes and make it take flight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm to you, Amanda. You've got to fly. You've got to fly. You can't just sit there looking at your pretty little wings. You've got to fly and have your willingness.
You're gonna
Yeah.
get some fire underneath you and stuff. I can get the wings out.
Going back to that, when you're talking about that mentality, what holds people back, like that sort of like victim mentality.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Also, I thought it's interesting because you work at, you operate in the Ashmore UFC gym, and I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Ronda Rousey? Ever heard of that?
Look, I've heard of her, but I'm not exactly a UFC follower. I work at the gym. It's very convenient for me. It's like 2 minutes up the road. And I actually love the gym. It's a great place to work. Do I follow UFC? Not really. I've watched a few UFCs and I'm like, oh, oh, it's too much for me. I'm like, a few minutes and I'm out. It's enough.
I don't
Like,
watch it like that
we
either.
don't need to hit each other.
You're a lover, not fighter.
It's hard.
I don't watch it like that either. Like I couldn't tell you the ins and outs, but I love like how humans like operate and just in the face of adversity, opposition, like challenges, and like also she had that situation where now she loses two, and it's like it instead of having extreme ownership of like of like, okay, maybe I didn't catch the skills that was required, maybe like our training camp wasn't ready. She went about it in a different way that put her in a state where she was saying like, okay, I almost put myself in a corner, and I almost considered taking my life because I thought, hang on, if I'm not this, then what am I? And it's like I thought like raw, like without that lack of extreme ownership, like she put herself in a situation where her identity was tied to something which was a collapsing metric. There's going to be a lot of females, a lot of entrepreneurs who get in that situation where you thought like all your life was this, and your identity was tied to not a growth mindset, it was like more of a fixed mindset, and now you face that adversity and you feel like your whole world was stripped at you. And I was explaining to someone recently, like I'm in a place where now seeing that, it's like you couldn't, as far as like names or even taking a loss, it doesn't really affect me like that because I've got this growth mindset. What you're talking about, I read that book with Carol S. Dweck about psychology of mindset, and I started to move towards that direction because I started to see like if you don't, this is the phase you can end up in. You might not necessarily even be like a sore loser or a bad person, but there's those who are winning, there's those who are losing, and there's those who just haven't figured out how to win, in this kind of work now puts you on that path. So to some people, you're not going to be able to affect them because they're tied to a growth mindset. Like the only way you could like affect me right now is like to say, okay, Richard, you're not a learner. All right, I've looked at you, my friend, you're not a learner. But then it would be so absurd, I'll just like brush it off like war on a duck's back because I know what we're doing. Like you're saying, because I flapped my wings, I was able to flip and meet you on a mountain. You're like, this stuff doesn't happen by some osmosis, cosmosis. And yeah, you talk about the universe matching energy. Can you like please highlight some of the things we can do to like raise our energy and open this AA pool?
Yeah. Well, if we are open to our growth and our learning, we're going to drop more into our heart center. And this is where we're moving in life, is that, we have to take responsibility for the things that we can take responsibility for. Let go of the victim mindset, let go of the competition, and just truly focus on ourselves. There's nothing outside of us. Everything is a mirror to what it is that we're actually meant to be learning. Like there's always a mirror in front of us in whatever situation. It either reflects like, yeah, I've got a compassionate heart, like I'm a good person, or it reflects to us that learning, that gap that we need to maybe have a look at. Like that person is reflecting negativity, is reflecting anger and hate towards me. What is that part to me? What is that reflecting to me? Right? So we always have to take responsibility. And not all of us are ready to take responsibility, but when we are, that's when we can really tap into our heart. That's when we can start changing our life. That's when we can start moving forward and to really start creating the things that we want to create in life. Some of us, we get stuck in these things, but also if we take into consideration everything that we just spoke about,
Hmm.
it's for our learning, it's for our ultimate betterment as a person. And I think we're all wired to want better out of life, and we have to be responsible for the actions that we take, the thoughts that we have, the patterns that we've experienced, and want to grow to our better self, our higher self.
Yes, yes. Now we can make decisions from an empowered place, and yeah, for also all people who are tapping in and on that journey, and if you look into that, like, yeah, what you've explained there, really, really powerful, Amanda. You say confidence is an inside job, yeah? Wow, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so how do you measure how far you've come, like with your internal work? Do you like have a process for that, or how do you?
So yeah, I can share something like an experience that I had just recently, actually, like last week or whatever. I had a conversation with someone, and so the conversation was pretty much in the end saying, you're doing this wrong, right? You could have had better results, you're doing something wrong. And in the past, I would have taken that and been like, oh my goodness, I'm doing something wrong. Like, I've got to change everything. But in that moment, I sat with the conversation and I was completely okay with what was being reflected to me, what was in that mirror. And I was actually like, wow, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'm not playing into that because I know, like, I have this knowing that I'm on the right path,
Mm,
right? So when we give our power away by feeding into what other people say about us or conversations that we have, when we have an inner knowing, when we're heart centered and we actually know for ourselves what is best, there's no one going to rock that confidence. There's no one that's going to put a feather up you to make you change, right? Because you just know. And it comes with healing. It comes with doing the work. It comes with self-reflection and to go, how can I do better in this situation next time? So that whole conversation that I had, I look back and I was like, wow, I can see how much growth I've made over the years, because that, having a conversation a couple of years ago, that would have rocked me. I would have been like, lost my confidence, gone back to, oh well, she knows better than me, and all the things, rather than standing in my like heart center and going, no, I actually know I'm on the right path. Like, thanks for your comments and thank you, I'll take that into consideration, but I'm not buying into it. I'm not going to roll with that story that is someone else's projection of who I am and what I'm doing and what I want to, where I want to go. You know what I mean? And that's confidence. But it comes from me self-reflecting on every part of my journey, because that's what you have to do when you want a better result or you want to grow into that next version of yourself.
wow, wow, Amanda. Yeah, that makes. And now do you? Wow. So what? As you now get better, do you find also like with competence, like brings more confidence? Like obviously now you do person
It
reassess,
was
setting, go again, reassessing, reset, go again.
it literally it's an undescribable feeling of you just knowing.
Mm,
There's when you just know, there's nothing that's going to rock you. Like there's no swaying. You're like rock solid. I'm confident. I'm going for it. I'm flying. When you're in the flapping your wings process, like those little birdies can get flapped anywhere.
uh,
When you're flying.
you're making me think of an eagle right now and how like it just yeah, it
That's
uses the
right,
speed
man.
to fly above. Like I see why God loved that creature so much. I'm not sure if you've
Wow.
heard of Ed Milet. Obviously, I like sports. I like gym stuff as well, but I like being outdoor. I'm an active person, and I was a full track athlete. And he talked about like, okay, if you're doing reps or whatever, like if you do an extra one, he says I do that for confidence, and then I do another extra one, and that's for super confidence. And obviously, at that time, I want to bring that confidence. I wanted to pour into other areas of my work, into entrepreneurship and my clients. And I just thought about that, like, okay, like this ain't like people here, obviously, like just how you said, like you're working on it. At that point, I didn't know that people was actually working on it. I just people breathing, shoulders back. You know what I'm saying? We turn up, we pop up, we pop off, become a pop star. You know what I mean? Sooner or later, that's what's gonna happen. But it's
Yeah.
very, very interesting to see how this is something that you nurture essentially. Like it's not engineered. Like interesting.
Yeah. But it's just like it's doing that little bit extra.
Mm.
Usually we're okay with just doing enough. Just
Wow.
enough to be enough, you know? But when we take that, it's like that 1% difference will make the changes over time because it builds the momentum. And come back to the conversation that we started with. It's the everyday things that keep building up, building up, building up, builds momentum, and then we start rolling.
Yeah.
When we just want to cruise and take it easy, we're just going to do enough. We're
Mm.
not going to be pushed outside our comfort zone. We're not going to do anything extra than what we need to because it doesn't interest us. When we want to build something, when we want to go the next level, we will find ways to find that 1% extra, whether it's daily, whether it's weekly. It all adds up. Momentum builds.
Mental. Absolutely, absolutely, Amanda. I asked because there's gonna be like a young girl going watching. I asked because there's gonna be a young girl watching this, and she's gonna need like the mental defenses to get into something, right? I don't know whether if that something's personal training. I don't know if that's entrepreneurship. I don't know what that something's going to be. So, yeah, what advice do you have for young girls, regardless of what they want to do? Because not everyone's going to want greatness, but I believe like some do, but some they're embarrassed to be ambitious. Some like they're embarrassed to be ambitious. Some they've been obviously told they're a woman and they're told they're not supposed to, going back to them roles. So yeah, any what advice do
Yeah.
you
Um, well, it's being really specific with what you want in life and not playing into, okay, I've been told that I should be this or that. It's okay, what do I want? What do I really want? And if we can't answer that, that's a good place to start. Because if we bring it back to the higher power, the universe, if the universe can't decipher what it is that you want, it's not going to come, right? But we have to know what we want so then we can send it up to the universe. Universe, we're always getting what we want, but we have to be able to understand what we want and to be able to put that out there. Be okay with like, okay, this is maybe something that my parents wanted for me. Do I want this? Do I want this? Does this excite me? And usually it's the level of excitement that it's that contributing factor. Like, does this excite me? Yes or no? If it's no, let it go. It's not yours. It's either you've been told that or you've been programmed that way to believe that. Does it feel good when you're doing it? If it feels great, go for it. They're the things that lead us into our purpose and our passion. Things that feel good. Anything outside of that is not our stuff. It's not ours. So let it go.
engage with them gray areas that's giving you more energy than it's taken away from you, and one door can lead to another door, and sooner or later, you've got pieces of the puzzle that starts to.
Oh, you're flying.
You are flying. I love that, Amanda. Great place to leave, Amanda. I appreciate you taking time.
I'm happy to, let's go.
Yeah, I hope you've had a good time, Amanda. I hope I've served you. I hope you've enjoyed your time.
Loved it. Thanks so much, love, to the UK and all over the world. And yeah, thank you for hosting me today.
Hope you enjoy the levels. Entrepreneurs, business owners, you're in the right place. You've made it this far because you're achievement driven. To people who appreciate the idea of meaningful impact, humbled by the outcome of financial independence. Amanda Giebel is on a journey beyond mastering the physical, holistic approach to heal body, mind, soul. I suggest you subscribe to her world. Speaking of subscribe, my friend, there's levels to this. Subscribe to the Levels of Value podcast.